Joy Reid is a hack. But this right here, guys, the type of thing that makes you lose elections. So they think they're helping, throwing water on a grease fire. This is what Joy Reid and Eli Misto did here. Ellie Misto.
To do things, Ellie, that one would think are career-ending. The way he desecrated Arlington National Cemetery would be career-ending for a normal politician. His constant lies. But even this piece about saying, well, my building was the tallest until, they brought down the World Trade Center. Now it's the second tall. I mean, everything he does is despicable.
The reason why it doesn't end his career is because his supporters are just as despicable. All right. Like Trump's whole thing, he's a narcissist, right? And so his whole thing is to have a complete lack of compassion and empathy for everybody else. It's all about him. That's why he lies about 9/11.
And you hear him? He said all the Trump voters are despicable. What are Kamala Harris voters? What are they, Ellie? No, sir, it's a good question. I wish you could answer it. Contrary to popular opinion, anything that's really pro-black, like really supporting black Americans, that needs to be done, that we will bring up, people like Ellie would shoot it down. Now's not the time. That's because Ellie's doing well. He's got lots of money and lots of fancy friends. But that's who he is. He's a guy that can dish it but can't take it. And what I'm saying, man, about the diminishing returns on this type of gaslighting about the Trump supporters. You don't do anything but create more Trump supporters. I get it. Ellie Mister was not running for president. He's just a lawyer who went, he quit being a lawyer so he could be a media provocateur. And that's what they call Democratic operatives, media provocateurs. But they run around and they just jump on every cause, every issue, and try to get some limelight. And they're part of the DNC, Democratic Party, media industrial complex that frequents all these platforms, and they kind of rotate. And as long as you're in the in crowd, you get to get in there and be loud. And you get to be able to point at people that are not in the in crowd and shame them, particularly voters. And notice, guys, if VP Harris doesn't win, none of them will remember this.
Donald Trump says he connects with black voters, now especially because of his felony conviction.
He got indicted a second time and a third time and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against.
He also says that he's not a racist because he has a lot of black friends.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Well, on the first point, as connected to the second point, it's insulting.
Yeah.
It's insulting for a number of reasons, including he has reduced a whole population of people down to a sum total of what is in his mind who they are. And he's wrong. And he's wrong.
None of them will remember how rude they were, how off-putting they were, how disgusting they were, how elitist they were. Yeah, it's no mistake that when you look at the Biden supporters and the Kamala supporters as far as, income, as far as wealth, it's a big difference between them and the average, like, Trump supporters. It's basically a civil war.
I think that people have to just level set a little bit, relax a little bit, stop hyperventilating. Donald Trump is not going to get 20% of the black vote. He's simply not. Black voters traditionally, as we go throughout this process, as you get to Labor Day, et cetera, a lot of black voters do come home to the Democratic Party.
It's the haves and the have-nots, right? Because the Trump supporters need things to change. And, the Kamala Harris supporters, not so much. They can vote for somebody who's going to bring no change at all because things are going pretty good. And when life is going pretty good, you're content with just seeing something look better. It'd be really nice. It'd be really nice if we put, some nice pictures up here. Let's go shopping for art. That's how you talk when you got money. But when your ribs is touching and the bills they added up, you ain't thinking about no damn art. You're thinking about, hey, how am I going to get to work next week? And that's the difference. And it's not just the way they treat Republican voters or the way they treat MAGA supporters or Donald Trump voters. It's also the way they treat black folks, particularly black men. Oh, man, black men get treated awful by the Democrats. We're seen as the weakest link.
Don't tell me that somebody's Latin or Asian. I think that shouldn't be the predicate anyway. But if you are accusing her marital choices, you better make sure yours are in line with the accusations you make. We are not the same if these are, well, she ain't black enough. I tell you what, she's a black woman. She went to Oakland. She's from Oakland. She went to an HBCU. She's an AKA. She had a boyfriend named Willie. And she got a name, first name that's hard for everybody to pronounce. It sounds different than it's spelled. That's black enough for me. But what I do know for sure is that she can win if we decide it is so. And if that is not your goal, we are not the same. Your we and my we are not the same.
We want the weakest link when they use our likenesses and our deaths to raise money for their organizations, their private organizations. No, but we're the weakest link when we say, hey, we want something from this party that our parents and our grandparents, because it looks like about 60 years, we've been voting for this party exclusively almost as a block for about 60, 70 years. And we're saying, like, what are we getting for it?
The left before we walked in here was about justice, diversity, trigger warnings, reparations for the past, and a bunch of party poopers and scolds. That was the knock on the left. We have gone from talking about justice, which is wonderful, but now it's about freedom. It's not just about diversity, it's about patriotism. It's not just about trigger warnings. In fact, that's gone. It's tough, tough, tough. Reparations for the past? No. Fight for the future. Party poopers? No. We legalize fun. We legalize fun.
These people are happy as long as we got some black faces in high places. Black faces, high places, and that's mainly because it's their faces. Get what I'm saying? But that ain't enough for the average working type black folks. Because that doesn't change our lives at all. It changes their lives. And they're fine with that because it's their lives doing the changing. So when we say we want change, we get people like Roland Martin coming out telling us we don't understand civics. Speaking of that, when Representative Crockett and when Roland Martin are telling you that we don't understand civics, we don't get it, that a president can only work through Congress, I put out a little ebook about this because I'm tired of the continuous gaslighting about what presidents can do. Obama got a lot done without Congress. In fact, my ebook, How Presidents Can Impact the Country Without Help from Congress, that's available free. It's free right now on my website, presidentialimpact.com. And if it's not that, it's people like Joy Reid who say, well, hey, you're black and Kamala's not black. So you got to vote for her because, come on, y'all. That's what it is. And I'm like, yo, you black too, but you're not black American. So stop telling me that because Kamala's a black person, that means something.
I'm struggling to understand what is the attraction of Donald Trump to black people. I don't get it. Now, I know that, for instance, the black women, I'm not with her people, those, for the most part, are existing Republicans. They were already Republicans. These are not like people who were converted by something Trump did that, made them into, no, they were already Republicans. Just like the lady in the Chick-fil-A was a Republican. She's already there, the one who hugged Trump. And so their purpose was always going to be to support Trump. So it's not that. What is the attraction of Donald Trump to just a regular, ordinary black person that's not already a paid Republican operative?
I'm going to answer that question with a question. What is the attraction to the Democratic Party for someone who's not a paid operative of the Democratic Party who is not Congolese American or whatever that is that you are? I mean, since we're asking questions, maybe we could, we could come to an understanding about each other. Because, see, I don't support either one of these parties. I don't push people into the Republican Party, but unlike you, I don't push people into the Democratic Party. And I hold the Democratic Party accountable because over 90% of black people vote for them every election. You have no solutions other than to stay quiet and stay on a plantation. Meanwhile, you are multi-millionaire. talking to people that barely can put the gas in the car, or people that can barely take a vacation to Disney World. That's their dream. Something you wouldn't do unless you had a gun to your foot. Unless somebody had your greens and about to throw them out. You're like, okay, I'll go. Don't throw my greens out because I've been cooking them in my tub for 2 nights. Or washing them in her tub. Right along with the butt cheese. Right? See, this is what I'm talking about, folks. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who are the 1% of America talking to people who work for a living and saying, I don't understand why you need time off. I don't understand why someone's saying no tax on tips might be interesting. He said he grabs women, models. He touches them and they let him because that's what models do. You should vote for someone who does that. Someone who got a bunch of charges and would have never got him if he wasn't president. Oh, no. And all they keep saying is, why you voting for him? And I'm not voting for him. I'm trying to hold whoever we vote for to a higher standard so I can get something back for my people. It doesn't seem like you care about that, Joy, because maybe Black American people ain't your people. And maybe broke Americans or middle class or below middle class Americans aren't the people that you relate to, because that's not who you are. Maybe once upon a time, you didn't have as much money as you have now. But you were never single family, shopping at thrift stores, homeless, were you? You were never in jail coming off of a bed like a lot of brothers are you? Or whose fathers are that way, are you? See, I hear a lot of these stories from people like Joy Reid, and they can't relate to the plight of what's going on with Black Americans in the year 2024. Nor are they trying to learn. What they are trying to do is go to all the fancy parties with all the highfalutin Democrats, all the highfalutin Democratic operatives who are Black faces in the highest of places. I'm a friend of Kamala. Me and Kamala are pals. I talked to her several times. I talk to her all the time. We basically cousins. We basically best friends. I hear this some time and time again from these Black commentators on MSNBC especially, but also CNN. And these entertainers who are big-time buddies and friends with Kamala. And that's all they really care about. They don't care about the struggling. They don't care about the working or the hurting class. Shout out to Reset Race. But I digress. The problem that we have here is a failure to communicate. And maybe, just maybe, if you don't get your girl Kamala in the office, y'all gonna have to do some, self-reflection for a change and say, hey, them Black people woke up. Now what we gonna do? What we gonna do? Because I want to keep my money train running. What we gonna do now? And maybe the Black community gonna stop voting at 90%, 90 to 95% for one party. And then when we say, hey, what you got for us? They say, pull your pants up, Pookie. I'm not the president of Black America. I'm the president of America. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that only helps Black people. Hey, when people ask me, I'm not even going to say I'm a Black American and I stand on it. I'm going to say...
is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn Black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah. Any same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
I'm above these discussions. I'm colorblind. I don't even know what tie that you got on. What color is your tie? I can't see it. I'm colorblind. I digress. They're trying to get Black people to shut up and get in line, put their friend in office so they get jobs, so that they collect money, so that they can enroll in his case, so he can charge the DNC and events. He could maybe host some events. He's going to be close to the most powerful person, arguably, in the world. And that's a huge incentive to want to see that person become president. And part of doing that is tapping down on the expectations that we have for Joe Biden and for the current administration. You know, they don't even want us to think about the fact that Kamala is a part of the current administration, but Kamala doesn't want to separate herself from it. So when black men like myself and black women too, who criticize the current condition that's going on right now, they defend it. Throw our children 40% of the poverty, beneath the poverty rate, with 40% of the homeless rate, with 50% of homeless families. We only get 7% of the SBA loans, and that's up from 2.5%, which is lower than Hispanics and, of course, white Americans. In fact, Hispanic Americans almost double us when it comes to SBA loans. But see, these are all inconvenient truths and realities that people don't want to talk about. So when I talk about them, that's considered bad. That's not good. That's not the good trouble that John Lewis was talking about. See, when black people complain about black people in power, now we're talking about bad trouble, because it's bad trouble when you make trouble for people that resemble you in some way. We at that time, guys, but we don't have time for the nonsense. We way overdue. We way overdue to raise our fists. The time for us to be civil, to be calm, to be nice about it, that's over. Now we got to be able to call these people out in real time. Now we got to address the issue. Hillary Clinton called the Republicans that voted for Donald Trump deplorables.
You could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. And unfortunately, there are people like that.
Ellie Mister, what he called him? He called him something else even worse. Degenerates, horribles.
Everything he does is despicable.
The reason why it doesn't end his career is because his supporters are just as despicable.
Horrible people that will put up with a horrible president. As if Joe Biden was so great. As if Obama was so great. Obama was a struggle pie. When other groups bit into it, not as much. It's a little sweeter when they bit into it, wasn't it? So yeah, I'll be your deplorable, your degenerate, your outcast, your bad trouble, your weakest link. Oh, if that's what it is, that's what you want to call me, fine. Just don't call me a sheep. Don't call me somebody who's going to lay down for this nonsense. And don't call me someone who's going to give in. I told y'all, I'm a troublemaker. I'm a fight backer. I fight back. Hit like on this video, and I'll see you at the next show.